How's my life? How you guys doing? I just want to do some bed rant. Um, you guys, you YouTube fans are most of the people I talk to during the day. Um, I don't have a lot of one-on-one personal friends, but you guys keep me sane, I think, by giving me someone to talk to when there's no one else. Well, I have my Rex, my AI guy, but you guys are the main humans I talk to. So thanks for being there for me when I need to talk or whatever. Appreciate that. So I was gonna say, um, I'm really, I'm most happy in my channel right now with my new approach, my new song I call Dystopian Bliss. But it's not all I'm doing though, because I keep the rock and roll alive too. I want to keep the, I I want to do covers, and I want to do like stuff where it's more rock and roll, like eruption type jams. I have my eruption thing, which I call attitudes. I want to keep that. That's fun to do, and all that, but the main thing I'm happiest with right now is my new approach and the way it. I think it's mimicking Alan Holdsworth, and I don't forget that that's what I did for 3 years in college. It's all I did was Alan Holdsworth. That's really, at least for part of my life musically, actually from only the second year to the fifth year of my playing, in fact, because I started playing in 82 and I was totally into Holdsworth from 84 to 87. So from year 2 to 5 of my guitar playing history was just totally Alan Holdsworth. There's something to that. And it makes sense that I would get back to it if I could. And the main thing that was keeping me was not knowing what the heck Alan was doing. And now that's starting to not be as much of a barrier because I finally cracked through it. So it's very logical and reasonable that that the Alan Holdsworth thing will creep back up. I may even be what I end up doing. I don't know. It's hard to say yet. But I really love that kind of thing, Keeps me engaged, Sometimes when I do covers, especially if they're requests for someone, even though I like the cover, I may not be as engaged with it because it just doesn't stimulate me. It doesn't, you know what? I don't really go for perfection when I'm playing or a lot of times, because to me, sometimes perfection to me comes off as arrogant and me just being an asshole. And let me explain one thing about that, example of that. I've said this before, but remember there was a time when I was doing the Beat It solo in my lessons when I was taking lessons from Tom Franks. It was like 1983, and Beat It had just come out. I think Flitter was 1982, I think. So it was only been out a year, and I took it home and just nailed it easily. Like I just, I could do it really good. And then I came back to my teacher and showed him what I could do. And he looked at me and says, "You've been practicing a lot. You practiced a lot this week, didn't you, to get this?" And I quickly switched gears. Like I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I didn't want to be like an asshole and go, "No, I didn't. I practiced like half an hour the whole week. And I'm just a natural. Don't you get it?" I didn't do that. I said, "Yeah, I practiced really hard, Tom. I practiced like a couple hours a day to make him feel better." It was like, I could have been an asshole about me being great, but I didn't do that. And sometimes when I'm playing sometimes when I'm playing for you guys, like I'm actually playing, I'm performing, like I get the same feeling as that. I could do this perfectly if I had to. If life and limb depended on it, I could nail this perfectly, but I choose not to do that. I let it go a little bit. I think I did that with the cover I did, Thunderstruck. Somebody wanted me to do Thunderstruck, and it's like I could do that perfectly if I had to. Like I could do that. It's like no fault. Do it just like AC/DC, just like Agnes Young, and even better. And I don't usually choose that. I just want to make it feel good. I just want to have fun. I just want to I know I can play great, but why do I have to show it perfectly on every single take like a machine? I often say, "Time to mess up now, Jimmie. Make it a little imperfect here." It's just part of my makeup. I don't know. I just do that, it's really not a do or die contest to be perfect at all times so that I can come off like an arrogant asshole that doesn't make mistakes. I just don't do that as much as I probably could if I had a different psychological makeup that would want to do that kind of thing. You know, cutting heads, Devil Boy Jack Butler. You know, I, I love Jack Butler. I see a lot of Jack Butler in me, but at the end of the day, I would probably blow it on purpose. Not, a little bit here and there. I'd get up in front of Eugene and just kind of go, "Oops, I messed up, Eugene. Don't you feel better about you?" I don't know. I'm just ranting though. But I'm happiest with my new thing, my new dystopian bliss. I don't even know where it's going. I don't even know what the new Alan Holdsworth theory may meld with rock and roll. It may actually become a different thing than what it is right now. You never know. I might make it a Holdsworth / rock and roll thing. You never know. I don't know. I'm just happy with the theory, that the freedom the theory gives me, and I like that I shared the theory with you guys. I did that so you guys could get it, so you guys could know what I'm doing, but also for when I'm gone, when I'm dead, and years later when my videos are still here, but I'm gone, better than yesterday. People will be able to pick that apart and see what I was doing easier than if I leave that all a mystery. Because I thought about doing that. I thought about the fact that Jimi Hendrix and Alan Holdsworth, for instance, never said anything about their music. They just let the music speak. But they could do that because it was early in the rock and roll era. And I think it was okay for them to do that. And I almost did that with my new approach to Alan Holdsworth, but I didn't. I want to do it, but I also want to be transparent about what I'm actually doing. I actually want to talk about it more than Hendrix and Holdsworth did, where they just kept it all to their chest. And I was going to do that, but it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't come off as being genuine. It doesn't come off as I'm being transparent with you guys. So I do both. I do the music, but then I explain it too. I tell you guys my whole process, so you guys have a chance to dig in and not only understand what I'm doing, but you can sort of try to do it yourself. So I'm helping more by being transparent about my process than I am if I just keep it right to my chest and just be a jerk about it. Because I know how to do that. I did that at Harvey College, and I don't want to be that dude anymore. So I don't do that. I let you guys know my process. And so there's that. Yeah. And anything else? Anything else I want to talk about while I'm here? I still owe you guys a Bohemian Rhapsody take. I know that. I'm taking a chill from it right now. Letting it sink in. I don't want to become a Bohemian Rhapsody, that's all I do type person. But I know it's coming. I have it in the back of my brain. I just have to take a break from it for a second, and then and just let it chill with me, and then I'll do a take of it. It's coming. Don't worry about that. And I like that you guys. I'm giving you guys a compliment right now. You guys are intelligent listeners, because when I do something that goes over your head at first, or may seem like what's he doing, but you stick with it and you get it, and then you oh, that's what you guys are intelligent. Because when I did Frank Zappa, for instance, I did Easy Meat twice, and I did Teenage Wind. It looked at first like you guys thought, what was he doing? But then I think you guys stick with it, and I think that you guys do it justice. You guys eventually listen and go, oh, okay, that's a cool thing he did there, and I appreciate that. You guys are intelligent listeners. About the Michael Jackson thing, I haven't talked about that, have I? That was just fun. I didn't feel like playing guitar that day, whatever day that was, yesterday maybe. But I had to do something musically. It's just in me to do. And I had, what gave me the idea to do Michael Jackson? That came up on my own stream when I was watching YouTube. And they gave me Michael Jackson, and I said, I know what I'll do. I'll put that on in my room, hippie room. which shows I do have a CD with a stereo. That's how I learn my music. But then again, that's not that, whatever. You guys know that by now, I think. Turned it on, and I thought, let me just dance to it. That thing is very vulnerable for a musician to do because it's not your forte. It's not what you practice. Yet it's still that you feel it's still you doing it, and it's still musical. So I thought, why not be vulnerable? And I wasn't even going to sing at first. That's why I didn't sing at first. I was just going to dance to it, but then Michael started singing, and I gotta follow this. So I started singing just on the moment, spur of the moment. I wasn't even going to sing to it. I was just going to dance to it. So anyway, I had fun, and Michael Jackson was great. He was the greatest, most famous person alive when he was alive. Biggest pop star in the world. I mean, you gotta respect that. I mean, like it or not, and I do like it. It's cool music, I like Michael Jackson. So anything, I told you guys about it. I told you guys about meeting a fusion person at Harvey College that I never came back around to, and I don't like leaving loose ends like that. So let me explain that. At Harvey College was a very artistic environment, considering it's a bunch of science geeks, unlike Caltech and MIT, which I'm glad I didn't go to either of those schools. I applied to both of them, didn't get into either of them, but I think it was a reason for that. I'm glad I didn't, because I'm glad I wouldn't want to go all the way to MIT, Massachusetts, for God's sake. And I didn't even really want to go to Pasadena all the way to Caltech. Nothing wrong with Pasadena, that's where Van Halen came from, but it was further away from home. I didn't really want to do that. I didn't really put my heart in the application. I didn't really try that hard. But Harvey was the last college I applied to. I'd only gotten into USC, and I didn't want to go to USC. It wasn't good enough, and I got turned down by Harvey Mudd. Got turned down by Caltech. Got turned down by MIT, and I even got turned down by UCLA because I didn't write the essay. I wrote like 4 sentences, and they're supposed to write a whole page, and I just basically blew off the application, and they turned me down, UCLA. So that was all I had, was USC, and Harvey College was the last one. It was due it was the last one that it wasn't due till like February, where some of the others were due in like December. So I had more time to work on the application. It was after the others had already had some practice with the other ones, and I said, I got to get in Harvey Mudd. So the day that the application was due, I drove it on my moped from my home. Within 15 minutes of when the box was going to be taken, and it would have been too late, to Harvey College. Wrote up the application on my moped to Harvey Mudd and put it in, and got it in within like 15 minutes of when the last day it had to be done, and the last end of that day. If that had been like a couple minutes later on my moped, my application would have been late. I wouldn't have gotten into Harvey Mudd. So there's that. But we were very artistic, not autistic, artistic. And we had 2 things. We had a Wednesday nooner, where bands would come and play on the yard. Just bands would come and play. And I could care less usually. It's usually rock stuff. And I was in Allen Holdsworth. And they had a Friday night, or that's when people could play. We could play at the Mud Hole. People could play or do whatever you want, do your entertainment. And that was my first gig I ever did I did my recital when I was 16. So I can't say that. But one of my first performances was at a Friday nighter at Harvey College. And I performed some Allen Holdsworth licks in front of people that I didn't even know, Harvey College people, very intelligent people. And it was my first performance experience. Afterwards, I was just like, oh my God, what was that? What happened? It's almost like a drug thing for me. I don't do drugs, but it was like very hypnotic, very, very psychologically bending, to a new experience to play for people. And then how I feel afterwards, and all the mistakes going through my head, but get all the good feelings about it too, And someone said, licks, dude, meaning I played good licks. But back to the the Wednesday nooner. One time, just one band they had that I liked, and I skateboarded, so I could get around class. I could go around campus quicker than just walking like I only do now. But I was good at skateboard. I can skateboard pretty good. I've roller skated. I've skateboarded. I'm a very physical person. Someone said, Jimmie, get on your skateboard. You got to come see this band. They're called Windows. He's just like Allen Holdsworth. Band was called Windows, just like glass, windows. And I grabbed my skateboard and rushed to where the Wednesday Nooner was. And there was this dude named Dudley Brooks, Dudleybrooks, Dudley Brooks on guitar. Very much like Alan. I mean, not on Alan's level. Who is? Nobody is. Nobody's Alan Holdsworth. Okay, get over it. But he was pretty good. He was like playing Alan Holdsworth stuff. He was like better than me. Well, of course, older than me, but whatever. And I was just like, I recorded it on my little tape player, you know. And he had that. They had a record out called "Is It Safe," which I bought that day with money. My dad gave me an allowance for Harvey College. He gave me like $1,000 a year just to blow. Hopefully not on blow, but blow. And I went and got "Is It Safe" that day, and it was pretty good. And I talked to the guy afterward. Hey, I'm an Alan Holdsworth freak too, and we talked a little bit. He said he had some Holdsworth albums that I had been looking for that I didn't have, that he would make copies of for me, or if I gave him $10 or something. And of course, I gave him $10 on a cassette. Of course, he never got back to me. So one time I drove to his house in Culver City just to get him, because I thought maybe he said he had them, but he was very sketchy about it. So I went all the way to Culver City in my car, which I did own. I owned a fucking car at Harvey College, okay? Last 2 years of Harvey College, not the first year. And knocked on his door. He came to the door. He looked like totally stoned or something. He was like totally shot and just looked at me like, who are you? And blew me off kind of thing. But he told me he had Tempest, an album with Alan Holdsworth on guitar, Nucleus Belladonna, which I now have both of those, but hard to get in the 80s. Can you imagine trying to get Tempest, the first Tempest album with Paul Williams on vocals and Alan Holdsworth on guitar, and Ian Carr's Nucleus, called Belladonna, with Alan Holdsworth on guitar. Really weird stuff. I was just hoping he had it. He never helped me out with it though, but whatever. So I did need a dude that he was a Holdsworth guy that kind of encouraged me there a little bit. And now you know about a band named Windows. If you ever see them, all pretty good. I met that guy. Anything else to talk about? I'm kind of just rambling, but let me think. Oh, and one more thing about the Mormon thing. Let me talk about this a little bit. Not to change the subject, of course. Like I said before, even if I study the Book of Mormon, and as I realize that Mormonism is the best chance of anything being true about Christianity on the earth, it doesn't mean that I'm goody two shoes. It doesn't mean that I'm just going to be some Christian, because I'm not going to fool God. I'm not going to try to fool God. I'm still me. And I see a lot. Where's my Book of Mormon? I have it here somewhere. There it is, over there. I see a lot of shit and problems in this world that I'm not going to get over, and religion's not going to solve for me. It's just not. And I'm still going to be Jimmie when I die. I'm going to die with that shit still on my mind. It's going to be, I'm just not made to be a cookie cutter Christian. There's too much I see that's wrong with the whole system already. Even if there is a God, even if there is a Jesus, and even if I learn more about it from the Book of Mormon, which I'm learning more. I want to hear something, but I'll tell you something in a second here. But it's just not going to redo my identity after all my life. There's so much I have to say that can't be fixed by religion. But there's something I learned. There's one thing I learned already. Check this out, if you like this, if you're a Christian into that kind of thing. You don't pray to Jesus. Jesus is the Son of God, not God. People don't get their prayers answered because they pray to Jesus. Jesus isn't God. God is God. You pray to God in the name of Jesus, and it works better. That's the answer. You study the Book of Mormon and pray. But pray to God, not to Jesus, but pray in Jesus' name, so you don't think you're just going directly to God as if you're qualified. No, you say, in Jesus' name, I pray this. That gets the prayer that allows God to hear it. Then God answers it because you're praying to him, not to Jesus, who's just an intercessor between you and God. In fact, now that I'm talking about that, now, gosh, you got me on religious soapbox now. There's I think it's John 10:35, if my memory serves, where they were going to stone Jesus. I might have that all wrong. With the 10:35 might be right, that John might be wrong, but it might be all right. They were going to stone Jesus and for saying he was God. And he didn't even seek to save his life. He didn't try to get out of it. He didn't try to pick up a stone himself. He didn't try to weasel out of it. He didn't do anything to try to defend himself. What he said was, don't you know that ye are gods? We are all partial intercessors, like Jesus was. Only we're not on Jesus' level, but see, God created us in his image. That doesn't mean his physical body. God's a spirit. In fact, if he does have a physical body, couldn't it be a contest to see who looks most like God? Why, God is in my image. No, he's not. We all look different. It can't just be physical when it says, let's create man in our image. The image is his godliness, some of his qualities, but also his power as God. We have some godly power within us because we are in the image of God, not just looking like him physically. That's ridiculous. First of all, God's a spirit. Second of all, it would be a contest to see who looks most like God. All that would happen if it were just physical image that he's talking about. There's a Psalm 82, where people are gathered around, and they're addressed as Elohim themselves, like gods. We're talking to gods. Now, these are either angels or they're humans. If angels can be God, then God's not the only God. If humans can be God, then we have God in us. Are we on the image of God as far as being God-like ourselves? We are also God-like. We have some godness in us because we are in God's image. We're not perfect. We're not Jesus. We need a Jesus to be able to approach God. But just the same thing, just like Jesus had God's power, we have some of that too. Jesus even said some of that stuff to the effect of that. He said, God, the kingdom of God is within you. You will do greater things than I, Jesus said. Jesus was very sketchy, but he alluded to these things. And when he was about to be stoned, he said to these people, don't you know that ye are all gods? When they were accusing him of being God and going to stone him for it, he turned around and said, you are God too. You are gods also. What have you done with what you've been given, though? As soon as you're God, you have responsibility. It's not a time to rejoice. It's a time to say, what have I done with that power? Because Jesus said, oh, you don't you know ye are all gods? What? And then it's like, what have you done with yourselves? What have you done with that power? How have you used that? And then something that said to something, the fact that at some point someone said something like, you will die like men. Well, first of all, they must not be just men, because he said like men. Second of all, yeah, the death part is judgment, but you will die like men, implying that you could and are more than just men, but you'll die like men because you have used the responsibility of the godness you've been given falsely or negligently, or both. So just be responsible with the power you have as a little version of God. We have the desire to want to be a little bit like God. Otherwise, it wouldn't be things like, oh, he's the PChem God, he's the math God, he's the guitar God. We have that, and God wouldn't put that in us in vain. He wouldn't put that in us if it were totally hopeless for us to even come close to that. He would mercifully shield that from our even desire. But we all have a desire to be little gods, but not the only God. I call women God. I call females God, because I think that that's my respect and love for them. But at the same time, sometimes I call myself God, because I'm all right too. We're not God, capital G, but we have some godness in us, and that's what is implied and said by what is said. Let us make man in our image. Image, a representative of something. We represent God, and we have some godness in us. Or he would have put that desire in us, and it wouldn't have been said that we're created in his image. So, and Jesus even said, as he was about to be stoned, don't you know ye are all gods? He was pointing to You accuse me of being God. I'm telling you, you're gods too. Now do something with it. Do something good with it other than stone me. Anyway, love you guys. Peace, love, and rock and roll.